So Hogwarts Legacy has something that is called a 15-second rule, which has surprised quite a lot of fans, including myself, but has actually turned out to be a genius tactic. Now, I've been playing the game for 10 days and I've just discovered a secret for the Broom that saves a ton of time. Now, to add to that, having the ability to switch to any season after you complete the game, new detailed interactive maps, and what happens now for the game as far as support and new content goes. So we have lots to get through, so let's dive into it. Now, first things first, if you have downloaded the recent update, minus PS5 users, of course we still have to wait for some point this week. As of right now when I'm making this video, we still don't know when that is. We've just been told it's going to be this week. But as I say, for you guys that have been able to download the new update, then many of you would know that people have been 50-50. Now, it seems more frequent that console players are facing more issues with the new update. Now, the best thing to do that I just want to address real quick is to go directly to the website and report the issue that you are having, because it's worth noting that right now PC in particular is facing the biggest issue as far as performance goes, but as I say, it's interesting because now console players are almost seeing identical issues for the most part. So it is definitely worth noting down and actually reporting it directly on that website. Now, what is this 15-second rule that I've been talking about at the beginning of this video? Well, it's a 15-second rule that is actually genius. So I want to thank a YouTuber who goes by the name Luke Stevens or Stevens. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Hopefully it was one of the two. Now, he figured out something happens every 15 seconds in this game. Now, basically every 15 seconds, there needs to be something that keeps the player engaged. Now, it turns out, and this is the part that genuinely blew my mind, is that many other games actually embed this rule, and the rule is more so around 30 seconds, and again, something just needs to happen within that time frame. Now, I tested this and he was completely right. Something happens every 15 seconds, give or take. Now, you may have seen, for example, a guy who keeps running around too, and if you follow him, which I decided to do the other day, it's actually interesting what he does, because it kind of ties into this whole 15-second theory, or now fact, that something else happens and he doesn't just carry on running. So for example, what I discovered is that he will jog and jog and jog, and then he'll bump into, I guess for the most part we can just say a buddy, right? And then he'll just sort of really walk fast with them, and then obviously the conversation ends and he just goes back to sprinting. Now, I know it sounds crazy, but like that's something very, very small that goes a long way. And again, it's that every 15 seconds, but there's so many other things that are random that are just strategically in place to keep the player consistently immersed in the world. And I think it's genius. So have you noticed this? Have you tried it? Is there something really random that you've actually encountered? Then let me know in the comment section below. Now, I've been playing this game for a while, since the 7th of February, and I've just discovered, or should I say just figured out thanks to one of you guys, that the Broom basically has a cruise control. Not literally, but kinda. Now, there's two things that could have caused me to just only discover this now, as well as so many of you guys as well. So it's either A, it's explained, but we actually completely overlook it because we just keep skipping, or B, it's not explained so well. Now, in a nutshell, if you press L3 on the PlayStation 5 control, it literally allows you to auto-fly. I mean, that's it. That is the game-changing element, especially for someone like me, as you can now just freely fly around and actually look around and soak in the incredible world of Hogwarts Legacy. But as I say, there are so many small things that when you figure it out in this game, you kind of question yourself because it instantly just makes you feel like a rookie. But as I say, something like this is just going to save a tremendous amount of time, so you definitely want to go ahead and try that out if you have not already. Now, devs, please add a season switcher for post-game, a request made by a fan that has so many people agreeing. Now, the post says the following: I heard it locks to summer, but I prefer fall and winter aesthetics. The game is too beautiful to not fully appreciate each season anytime you want after you finish the year. Now someone then added that yep, it suffers from a lot of post-game RPGs where the world kinda stays stagnant until there are updates/DLC or you eventually quit the game. Some people, specifically me, love to just go into a game and enjoy the scenery even after I beat a game. The simple ability to just go into the settings and change the weather/seasons, almost like the PlayStation 5 version of Spider-Man, would have been great. Now they already have a random rain and day/night cycle, so I couldn't see why this couldn't be an option. Now this is a pretty big topic, as when you go through the seasons you actually do see relative stuff, right down to the events. So this leads to the big question on, will they do in-game real-time events as in Halloween, Christmas, etc.? Now, will they auto-switch people's game to that season, and then of course same thing with the weather, or will it be something that we can just freely choose eventually? Now, this might be kind of a hot take/unpopular opinion, but if they were to actually do a real-time seasonal event, then I would actually opt out of having the option to freely choose the seasons, as what happens in that scenario is they have certain things that are exclusive to the years, so it's almost becoming that sort of game where you want to jump back in to see specifically what's changed this year round for Halloween or Christmas, and overall what's just been added. Honestly, I'd love for that to happen. Now, what happens now for Hogwarts Legacy? Where do we go from here, as in will it get continued support or not? Now, one thing we know is that things are kind of taking a different turn to where now so many people are coming out with new ideas on things they would like to see implemented in the game. Like I mentioned at the start of this video, more interactive maps. Now, that's kind of, I guess, a very your own kind of preference scenario. And what I mean by that is I feel genuinely that the map, and as far as you interact with it, is perfect. But sure, there's various different things that you can add, but for me, as the map stands now, if I was to rate it out of 10, I'd probably give it like an 8 as far as, you know, how you can navigate on the map, etc, etc. But sure, there are definitely a few tweaks that you can make. Now, what's interesting about whether this game will get continued support or not and where we go from here is I've seen so many takes on this, from people saying how the game is now done and that's it. It was basically just a one-time release and this is the only version of the game that there ever will be. And then I've seen people say how this seems like a base of something bigger. Now, because this is the studio's first ever big game, especially on this scale, I guess this may have been a big testing phase, and now that they've actually passed, you know, that phase or test, whatever you want to say, it's almost like the bigger budgets can actually get unlocked and new doors open up for them to be able to attract more players and ultimately, from a revenue standpoint, actually sustain this game's title for a good 2 or 3 years, which in all honesty is not that long when you compare it to recent games, and the potential this game has for DLCs as well is, I mean, let's be honest, it can literally go, I would say comfortably, a solid 5 years if there was a big budget and that was the roadmap and that was the plan. It can easily go 5 years solidly where you do genuinely go back to the game and enjoy it. Now, the good news is that the other day a PC user was able to dig through the files and they found something shocking. Shocking as in 2 files that have the name DLC written on it. Now that has caused so much confusion since, so check out the video that you see on screen to find out what's going on with that.